Noel at binabahagi sa ating mga anak at yung iba binigyan din ng ating mga kaguruan na kung aasahan po natin. Attorney Noel, we have more or less 24 million public school students nationwide.
Wow.
So, i-multiply mo yan, Attorney Noel, kung magkano ngayon ang gadget. Sabihin mo na ng kinder to grade 12 yan.
So lahat po itong 25 million nabigyan? Nabigyan lahat itong 25 million?
The point is, Attorney Noel, hindi ko na mabilang kung magkano yun. Wala tayong budget. Pero when you talk about online learning, dapat may kanya-kanyang gadget ang mga bata eh. Diba, Attorney Noel? Of course, hindi naman lahat may access sa internet. Pero kung meron kang gadget, Attorney Noel, pwede kang mag-upload dyan ng mga materials na pwede i-access ng mga bata kung wala silang internet. And lalo na kung may internet, then the whole world is for them to conquer a world of knowledge. They could access the website. But ang point ko, Attorney Noel,
Yusek, napakaganda ng programa ninyong yan.
Ang point ko, Attorney Noel, yung sa online delivery mode namin, isang napakagandang halimbawa. Kung kami lang, ay talagang hindi namin po kakayanin. I could give you an example, Mandaluyong City, Attorney Noel. I went there, I was there itong Brigada Eskwela. During the Brigada Eskwela, they donated sufficient number of gadgets to cover all of our grade 4 to grade 12 learners in Mandaluyong City. Nagpapasalamat po tayo kay Mayora po, napakausay na Mayora po natin sa Mandaluyong City, halimbawa. Attorney Noel. At nagkaroon ng gadget ang mga bata, nagkaroon ng kakayanan na gumawa ng online classes. But again, what we're trying to say here is we cannot do this alone, but because of the concept of partnership, the way DepEd, ang ating Pinoy Liling Magtolis Briones ay talagang dinidiinan ang partnership ay naitawid po natin ang school year 2020-2021 at tinatawid po natin ngayon 21-2022.
Okay, Yusek, baka hindi natin matapos ito pero nais ko lang banggitin na maganda yung programa ninyo dahil kinikilala yung mental health issues and matters ngayon, lalo na ngayong pandemya. Nais ko lang itanong dahil inilipat na natin karamihan ng ating learning activities online. Meron ba kayong datos tungkol naputol tayo? Naabutan mo ba yung tanong, Yusek Todi?
Nabutan mo.
Oo. Maaari pa tayo.
Kung ulitin mo na lang, Attorney. If you could repeat the question.
Ulitin ko lang yung tanong kasi yung programa ninyo tungkol sa mental health issues ng ating mga teachers at students sa mga disaster-stricken areas. Pero meron din po ba kayong kaparehong programa para tugunan yung halimbawa yung cyberbullying? At meron ba tayong datos dyan sa kasi lumipat na lahat ng learning activities in online. Meron ba tayong mga reports on cyberbullying at paano ito tinutugunan ng Department of Education?
Alam mo, meron ito hindi lang ako handa ibahagi sa inyo yung numero. Pero tama kayo, Attorney Noel, dahil nga halos lahat ay nasa online platform po sila. Alam nyo, mula sa klase, and then pag-update ng mga bata, maggagawa sila ng mga chat groups, Viber, Messenger groups, at doon po nangyayari yung sinasabi po ninyong cyberbullying.
Triple X Zamboanga. For every wanted, we've got it covered in the Philippines' largest network. This is Radio Philippines Network. The power, the first, the leader. This is Radio Philippines Network. The Triple X Zamboanga. The Triple X Zamboanga. This is Radio Philippines Network. The Triple X Zamboanga. The Triple X Zamboanga. The Great 108. Solid for news and information. Public service and entertainment. This is D Triple X. NOA kilohertz in Zamboanga.
It's the turn of children as young as 5 years old to get vaccinated against COVID-19. At least 3 hospitals and 3 more vaccination sites kicked off their inoculation. Karen Bonkin also tells us the health department removed a legally contested policy on parental consent to a child's COVID-19 vaccination.
Unlike with their older counterparts, there's more fanfare for the vaccination of 5 to 11-year-olds. In San Juan City, the inoculation site was set up like a children's party. At the SM North EDSA, the atmosphere was also festive. At the Philippine Heart Center, Philippine Children's Medical Center, and National Children's Hospital, there were loot bags filled with toys, learning materials, and snacks. At the Manila Zoo, kids got to see the animals after vaccination. These were just some of the come-ons to entice more kids to get vaccinated, as officials estimate 8% of the population remain vaccine hesitant.
By protecting the 5 to 11, we protect the 4 years old and below. This will now usher in the normalcy that we all have been aspiring for.
Gusto lang namin siya mabakunahan, so kahit may walang goodie bag, okay lang. Pero baka for the kid, dahil medyo natakot sila, naiyak, okay na rin na may maun siyang something, souvenir, regalo, na may books and all.
Among those who showed up were Edgar Morales and his 2 sons.
We think it's safe. Kami, active kami, lumalabas kami, so every time na mag-uwi kami sa bahay, at least even them, they are safe.
Children in this age group will receive a lower dose of Pfizer vaccine. But if an 11-year-old turns 12 for the scheduled second dose, then the child will get a regular vaccine dose for 12 years and older. Pre-registration is needed. The pediatric vaccination pushed through despite a petition filed before a Quezon City court to stop the inoculation. The health secretary defending the vaccination says there's probably just a misunderstanding regarding a department memorandum. On Friday, the DOH rescinded its order, which would have allowed the state to give consent to vaccinate if a child's parent or guardian refuses.
Inatasan ko na ang DOH last week na tanggalin yan. Unang-una, ang parental consent hindi mo pwedeng i-replace. Okay? I-replace mo under extraordinary circumstances kung wala yung magulang, wala yung guardian, yung designated authorized guardian, then only then can the state represent the interest of the child. Pero under normal circumstances, hindi pwede. Ang mananaig po ang consent, parental consent. So malinaw po yan. So hindi po pwedeng estado ang magbibigay ng pahintulot kung pwede bang bakunahan o hindi ang mga bata edad 5 to 11.
Positive pa rin yung makikita namin, though this is a temporary, some sort of nuisance.
Officials reiterate the vaccines are safe and less risky than catching the virus.
Wala pong nakikitang ang pamahalaan na fatal consequence. Sa trial of this vaccine conducted among children aged 5 to 11, ito pong Pfizer vaccine, it was found to be safe and efficacious and prevented 90.9% of symptomatic COVID-19.
They add, a child will only be vaccinated if the parent or guardian agrees. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
Presidential advisor for COVID-19 response, Vince Dizon, also tells CNN Philippines parental consent for a kid's COVID-19 vaccination is, quote, an absolute requirement.
Absolute requirement. No child can be vaccinated without parental consent. So I will repeat, it is an absolute requirement for vaccination for children. And we are ready and we will be answering the petition that was filed in the Quezon City Regional Trial Court. But we are very, very confident that the courts will allow the vaccinations to continue, simply because, we need it. We need it, and we need the vaccines to protect our kids.
Vince Dizon also saying it is not yet time to make booster cards mandatory in establishments. Presidential advisor for entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion earlier made the pitch, saying it would help build a wall of immunity against the coronavirus. Now, Dizon explains only around 8 million Filipinos have received the third dose of protection against COVID-19 or the booster shots, which to him is a very low number.
Encourage the private sector, Secretary Concepcion, to help us in this, is to push further our people getting the booster shot. Now, especially in the private sector, if they can push their employees, the workers to get the booster shot, that would allow us to further increase these numbers in the coming weeks. But right now, I don't think that is possible to do at this point. To require booster shots for, to enter malls or restaurants, I think that is the proposal. I think that it's very premature to do that right now.
Nearly 16 million Filipinos have completed their primary doses so far. Dizon says they seek to reach 70 million by March, especially with the third round of the National Vaccine Days happening this February 10 and 11, Thursday and Friday. Now, the Department of Health records 6,836 new COVID-19 cases. Experts project a significant drop in the country's COVID-19 cases by the end of the month. The Octa Research Group says new daily infections could fall to around 1,000 to 2,000 in 3 weeks. That's a lower estimate compared to its earlier prediction of 5,000 by late February. Octa also noted that the average number of new cases from February 1 to 5 was over 8,400, down from the 17,000 logged the week before. The group also reporting a lower reproduction rate, or the average number of people infected by a single case, and a decrease in the 7-day positivity rate, or the percentage of infected people out of those tested for COVID-19. Now, news overseas, a state of emergency has been declared in Ottawa, Canada, as thousands of people continue to troop to the streets to protest against COVID-19 restrictions. Mayor Jim Watson says this is because of the serious danger and threat to the safety of residents. Canadian police have issued hundreds of tickets to protesters, including for the use of fireworks, driving on sidewalks, and stunt driving. Demonstrators have been protesting vaccine and mask mandates in the nation's capital for 2 weeks. Australia will reopen to fully inoculated international travelers starting February 21st. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says these tourists should be double vaccinated unless they qualify for a medical exemption. Australia closed its borders to most travelers since COVID-19 spread in early 2020. Only citizens, permanent residents with their families, international students, backpackers, and migrant workers are allowed entry into the country, but they must be double vaccinated. In other news, the United States and its allies keeping a close watch over Russia amid the standoff on Ukraine's borders. U.S. President Joe Biden is sending at least 3,000 troops to Poland, Germany, and Romania to help defend its European allies. Russia has repeatedly denied it is planning to invade its neighbor, but new satellite images appear to show an advance of Russian military deployments in Belarus, which shares a border with Ukraine. Biden declined to say whether he would consider deploying more U.S. troops to NATO allies if Russia refuses to de-escalate tensions with Ukraine. The official campaign period for national posts in the 2022 elections kicks off tomorrow. Tristan Nadalo tells us what the guidelines for in-person campaigning are amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
Stiff penalties await those who will violate the COMELEC rules as the official campaign period begins. Authorities say that a no physical contact policy aims to protect both the public and the candidates amid the pandemic. In-campaign activities will be allowed in areas under alert level 1 to 3. The number of a candidate support staff will also depend on the existing alert level. The poll body also allows the conduct of caucuses, meetings, rallies, and meeting de avance in areas under alert levels 1 to 4. Alert level 1 will be allowed 70%, while alert level 4 will only be allowed 30% maximum capacity. The said activities are prohibited in areas under alert level 5. Based on the guidelines, house-to-house campaigns are not allowed. Crowding that violates minimum public health standards is also prohibited. Handshakes, hugs, kisses, going arm in arm, or any action that involves physical contact between the candidates and the public are likewise not allowed. Taking selfies, photographs, and other similar activities that require close proximity between the candidate and their companions and the public will also be prohibited. Distributing food and drinks will also not be allowed. The Interior Department and the Philippine National Police are beefing up measures to ensure compliance with the COMELEC guidelines.
Medyo mahirap talaga, no? Ito nga yung isa sa mga pinag-uusapan namin kasi ang sabi nga mismo ni Secretary Ed Año, mas mahigpit pa itong COMELEC resolutions kumpara dun sa regulasyon ng IATF, no? But nonetheless, we will do our best unless luluwagan ito ng COMELEC. I understand may mga petitions na to the Commission on Elections na luwagan ng konti depending on the situation on the ground, pero hindi kami aasa doon.
So pag coordinated, we always have a standard security package based on the need to make sure that they are secure during their mga campaigns, and then if there are other requirements, we'll make sure that we are following the instructions or the COMELEC resolution.
The DILG adds that violating the COMELEC rules is tantamount to an election offense, which means that violators may face fines, penalties, imprisonment, or disqualification. Tristan Nadalo, CNN Philippines.
Straight ahead on Newsnight, a day before the campaign season begins, presidential hopefuls are all hands on deck to woo Filipino voters. And amid sex trafficking charges, controversial pastor Apollo Quiboloy claims he's being persecuted as the, quote, appointed son of God. Details when we return. Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Presidential aspirants are set to formally begin their candidacies tomorrow on the first day of the campaign period for national posts. Tandems will hold proclamation rallies in various parts of the country. Joining us live is senior correspondent Anjo Alimario, who is tailing Vice President Leni Robredo in Naga. Anjo, what can we expect ahead of Robredo's campaign?
Kulay rosas ang bukas. That's the theme that the tandem of Leni and Kiko will carry in their 90-day campaign. Presidential aspirant Vice President Leni Robredo says this is what Filipinos can aspire for in an honest government, the kind of leadership that she has shown and has promised to continue if elected. Painting the social media in pink, and here in Naga, it's no exemption. Posters and tarps of Robredo are proudly displayed in buildings and establishments. Streets are adorned with pink banderitas. But that show of support is multiplied by the energy and overwhelming love of Bicolanos for Robredo. Robredo will try to make history as the first Bicolana president. That's why she chose to hold her proclamation rally together with running mate Senator Kiko Pangilinan and her Senate slate in her hometown.
Yung kulay rosas ang bukas, ito yung aspiration natin. Ito yung aspiration natin na kung gawin natin ang tama, kung magiging matapat tayo, makakaasa tayo ng pagbabago.
Survey frontrunner former Senator Bongbong Marcos will hold his kickoff at the Philippine Arena in Bulacan with Vice Presidential candidate Davao Mayor Sara Duterte. On the eve of their proclamation rally, they met with local officials of Bulacan and held motorcades which culminated with a town hall meeting in Malolos.
Natanggap po ang mensahe natin ng taong bayan dahil sa napakasimpleng dahilan. Tanggap na tanggap po ang mensahe natin ng pagkakaisa dahil ang Pilipino po ay nasa ugali na ang magkaisa. Ang Pilipino po ay mapagmahal. Hindi tayo pala away. Hindi tayo naghahanap ng gulo. Ang ugali ng Pilipino ay makabayanihan. At pag may nakikitang naghihirap, tumutulong.
Senator Panfilo Lacson will be in his home province in Cavite on Tuesday, the second most vote-rich area with over 2 million voters. He will be with several senatorial aspirants under Partido Reforma, including former PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar, actor Monsur del Rosario, and Dr. Mingita Badilla.
Outdoor yun sa amin, pero ang usapan namin, i-maintain na lang natin yung physical distancing. Sabihin na nilang medyo sparse yung crowd, pero at least may disiplina tayo. Yun ang lagi namin ginagawa, yung disiplina, napaka-importante sa panahon ng pandemya. Isipin mo, magra-rally ka, dikit-dikit, tapos magkakahawahan. Eh di, nag-contribute ka pa. Problema.
Boxing legend Senator Manny Pacquiao will ang katipunan. He'll be joined by his running mate, Doc Willie Ong, and 3 senatoriables.
As much as possible, simple, modest proclamation. As much as possible. Talaga ako ganun. Hanggat maaari, ako susunod tayo sa alituntunin kasi kung gusto natin mag-lead, di ba? Kailangan mapakita rin natin sa tao na tayo mismo nasunod sa sarili nating mga pinatutupad. Yung mga kalaban natin, mga higante. Pero sinabi rin sa Biblia, si Goliath tinalo ni David. Ibig sabihin, sa Diyos, walang imposible.
And Labor leader Leody de Guzman will begin his journey on Tuesday from his hometown in Cainta and will bring his fight to Bantayog